You know, there's a growing number of people that have been asking and popping up in the comments lately asking, John, are you okay? You don't look so good. Well, I've just been tearing through some of the worst music of the entire year and reliving it over and over again. I'm totally peachy keen fine. What's up everyone, John from Beyond ARTV. It's time for another episode of 7 on Sunday. Once again, year-end themed. Last week, if you missed it, we did the top 17 best hits of the year. Today, we're talking about the 7 biggest letdowns in terms of albums. The 7 most disappointing records for me personally. Now, keep in mind, these are all based on albums that I reviewed this year, as with the majority of my year-end list. I'm not talking about stuff that I didn't review. I just want you guys to kind of see a summation of where I'm at in terms of the music that I covered in 2016. So here today I'm talking about the biggest letdowns, the ones that I was very excited for, but then listened through and just thought, it could have been worse, it could have been better. And I do want to note, and I want you guys to understand, please, because I'm sick of seeing it in the comments. 1, it's my list, not yours. And 2, these were letdowns to me. So no, how could you possibly think this is disappointing, or you think this is a bad album? I'm not saying that this is a bad album necessarily. I'm gonna do a video on the worst albums of the year on the main channel ARTV. These are the most disappointing. See, that's not actually the word worst, it's disappointing. They're two different things. So be sure to leave a like on the video today, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's kick off the countdown. I was thoroughly expecting something great from this UK rock band on their sophomore LP, The Ride, but honestly, I just didn't feel like we got that. I was really loving their debut, The Balcony. It took me a little bit to get into it because, you know, I'm a little bit late on checking things out sometimes, and it got lost in all of the confusion of all of the albums that came out that year. But I did get to it, and I was loving it. In fact, I own a copy of it on vinyl and come back to it time and time again. But with this new one, I did feel like there were some standout tracks. There were great ones like Twice, 7, and the single Soundcheck, which did remind me of other bands, but at the same time, I like that they were kind of owning the influences. But as a whole, I feel like this album just kind of got drowned out in bands that once were. I mean, there's a lot of Oasis influences. That track that I played before the video started here, I played It Sounds Like Oasis right on the outside, and that's one that I don't see as being a good comparison there. It's something that I just feel like we kind of get lost up, like we're almost doing a bit of karaoke or a cover band type thing. It's by no means something that I can't tolerate or just can't stand by any means. I'm flipping tables anytime somebody plays a track from it. That's not it at all. It's just a matter of, I don't feel like they struck the right balance on this album. And as a result, it came off a little bit lazy, like maybe, yeah, you spent a little bit too much time writing it on the road. It didn't focus on the details as much. So here's to hoping for a better third LP. Maybe it's just because Common Courtesy was so fucking great in an album that I kept coming back to, but I was really disappointed in the new A Day to Remember record, Bad Vibrations. This is one that saw them trying out some new styles and also just kind of playing off of some recycled material as well. I felt like we got a few that stood out from the pack, but for the most part, I couldn't be bothered to come back to this album. Anytime I would think about it, I was just like, you know, there's so many other things that I'd rather listen to. There's a couple of tracks like Justified and the title track Bad Vibrations that I've kept in playlist and kept listening to, but anytime I see any of the others popping up, like Naivety especially, I can't stand that one, and it's kind of a turnoff to some of the other material as well. I haven't warmed up to it. I've tried it out time and time again. It's just nothing that I'm going to be coming back to in the future, and I'm really hoping they can pull something back together on the next one they put out. Side note, there is a great bonus track called In Florida. I'm ready to be murdered by Panic fans in the comments section that can't take a damn opinion, but here we go. Death of a Bachelor by Panic at the Disco is their worst album yet. Definitely something that I am not entertained by. It's a mess. It is all over the place. There's songs that work. There's songs that don't. There's elements thrown in there to all just make like a jumbled puzzle with missing pieces, and you don't know how to put it together. Here's Panic at the Disco in 2016. It's kind of like an ego trip for Brendan Urie once again. I'm not hating on him, even though I've had beef with him in the past. I think he's got a great voice, and I love Panic at the Disco. I am a big fan of their past releases. Even their album Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die was great. It grew on me a whole lot, and I don't think that there are any other weak albums really in their discography other than this one, just because there were so many things that he was attempting to pull off, and I just don't feel like he reeled it in. Overall, I would say that there are some great tracks on here. I think Hallelujah, although it is a little bit overplayed and overrated, I still come back to that one. Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time had a nice sample of Rock Lobster that I thoroughly was entertained by, and it's something that I found myself coming back to just because it's weird, it's out there, but it kind of works. And obviously the title track, Death of a Bachelor, kind of an ode to Frank Sinatra there, and he totally nailed it. I'm just looking for something a little bit more from Brendan Urie in the future if he decides to continue under the Panic at the Disco name instead of just going solo, because really this is a solo project at this point. I'm interested to see what he could try, but at the same time, nervous. French producer M83 dropped a long-awaited project Junk this year. It had been a long time since his last record that I was entertained by. Midnight City is one of my favorite songs of all time, and I really did enjoy Hurry Up We're Dreaming overall. But he took so long crafting this follow-up. Anthony just really didn't put in the effort, I feel like, overall, to make a cohesive and entertaining listen. I mean, you can definitely immerse into this world that he's creating, but it's like, how much do I actually want to be here? There's a lot of features from My Lawn. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She's all over this thing, and I just wasn't entertained by her as a vocalist overall. I didn't feel like there was that much big of a draw to keep me coming back, and my attention, I'm gonna be honest, just was not held by some of these tracks that just kind of wander over this spacey beat and a lot of synthesizers, a lot of throwback 80s nostalgia, but I just wasn't lured in like I was last time. If you are curious about the project though and you think there's nothing salvageable about it, that's not true at all. There's great tracks like Go featuring My Lawn, obviously on that one, with a guitar solo from Steve Vai that is out of this world, and even Do It Try It, the lead single from this thing, was pretty catchy. Walkway Blues was another one worth checking out as well.
Words can cleanse and purify, or tear down a pack of lies. In your presence, consequence, I can't stop trembling.
Next on my most disappointing albums list, we have Block Party with their very mild and kind of timid album Hymns that dropped in January silently of this year. It was kind of an underwhelming project as a whole. They lost several key band members, and that is definitely felt. Even their guitarist Russell just really seems like he's been kind of shifted out of the picture for a focus on other things, like kind of an ambient synthy feel, and we saw that right off the bat that they were going to be doing new things with the lead single, The Love Within. And while that single did grow on me, I still feel like it's lacking what Block Party normally have, just an energizing spirit or something that at least is commendable on some level, but I just felt like this could have been done by other bands and it didn't feel unique to them, and that was a problem that I was having all throughout. For Only He Can Heal Me was a big standout for me with the weird vocal samples and stuff, but then we kind of got lost in these really just awful tracks like Fortress, where he's trying to describe like love and sex and stuff, and it's just like, Kelly, dude, stop, please stop singing about these things. It doesn't work at all. Let's move on and pretend this never happened. And I think they're already trying to do that, considering they already put out a much better single called Stunt Queen. Whew, yikes. BEARTOOTH with Aggressive. That was an album that I was very, very excited for. I ended up giving away my vinyl copy of it that I had pre-ordered. That's how stoked I was for this because I loved their debut album, Disgusting. And here we have Aggressive, which just kind of feels like The Hangover and The Hangover 2 to me. They tried to do the exact same thing, and it did not pan out at all. Aggressive got way too caught up in trying to relate to its audience, trying to focus on these themes of youth and energy and not being silenced, and it just had these regurgitated guitar riffs that felt very stale, almost like they were recorded in like a weird setting a lot of the time. They just kind of felt chunky, cluttered, and an overall mess. Now, there were great tracks on this thing, especially like King of Anything at the end of this record, just kind of a slow burning one that really moved me. And I also really liked the track Hated as well. It had a good message to it, and I like that this album did try at least. It seemed like it was trying to be positive and put good things out there. It just felt like Caleb Shomo really struggled. He plays all of the instruments for BEARTOOTH, at least in the studio, and obviously does the vocals as well. And I just felt like he tried to make a replication of what worked the first time. Next.
No, let's not put a label on it. Let's keep it fun. We don't put a label on it so we can run free. Yeah, I wanna be free like you.
Whenever TOVE burst on the scene in 2014 with their hit song Habits Stay High, I thought, great, we've got a new female presence, something fresh in the scene, using this really interesting poppy electronic production. She's doing something new here, something on the radio that actually has a little bit of edge and spunk to it. But all of the life seems to be sucked out of her on her new project, Ladywood. We see her playing with these weird vibes, throwing in like acoustic guitars on some of her tracks that just don't work. They kind of go for an almost kind of atmospheric feel, and then we've got the overproduced ones and the terrible cringeworthy lyrics that pop up a lot of the time. And no, I'm not saying that she had great lyrics the first time around on Queen of the Clouds, it's just that she had the music and the production to back it up. Here, it's just like, what am I supposed to distract my ears with whenever the production is cluttered and the lyrics just flat out suck a lot of the time, and TOVE comes off as kind of an uninteresting personality. I'm really, really let down by this project. I can't say that there's any songs that I've kept coming back to over time. I gave the album another shot. I played it actually twice before recording this video. Thanks for watching my video on the most disappointing albums of the year. Keep in mind these were just my choices, so let me know about some of yours tastefully and respectfully in the comments section down below. I've been doing a lot of year-end lists, so if you would like to see the full playlist of year-end countdowns, it's linked in the description. Don't forget to drop a like on the video today to let me know that you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. You can check out my main channel right over here, another year-end countdown right here on SOS, and the full list of year-end countdowns right over here. All my social media is linked in the description, and other than that, and I will see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.